Hi, we're Group 8. This is our product, Tappt. Super excited to walk you through this and what we've been working on for the past 9 weeks. So, Swalia, I know you made this front end. You want to kick us off?
Yes, hi, I'm Sualeha, and I work in this front end. So basically, the intention behind this interface was to target our two main users, which are students and teachers. So on the left, we have a button that links to the student sort of login page, or the page where they're able to enter the game pin that they're given when teachers are hosting a game. And then at the bottom there's a link that takes you to the teacher login page also. And so teachers can just go ahead and create an account or sign in with their existing account in order to make decks and games for their students. And then we also have a rules page, which is a resource for our teachers to be able to like break down and explain how Tappt works for their students that they can access at any time.
Awesome, thanks. So I'll go ahead and sign into our account for today. We have a sign in with Google option. It is functional. The account that I'm trying to get to is not one of these three. So I'll exit here and I'll log in with our native system. Sign in. Awesome, here we are. Carlie, I know you made a lot of this part. Do you want to talk us through what we got?
Yeah, sure. I'm Carly, and what we have here is the View Decks page, which is, it demonstrates or like it shows every single deck that the user has created, and it centralizes all those on this page. So what we can do here is we can go to Edit Deck for one of our decks, and we can see that it shows every single question, answer, and the correctness. From here, you can actually edit the question answer and the answer correctness. And we can also remove questions too. And then we can save that all once we're finished editing. Um, and then once we're on view decks, um, we can actually see the changes. It actually saves. So that's great. We can also create decks as well, which is basically the same thing as the edit deck portion. However, you start with a clean slate. So you can add questions, answers, answer correctness similar to edit decks. However, it's just blank. Um, from here, yeah, you can add more questions similar to edit decks. We also have error catching. So like if any questions are blank, it will show as you can see here. So once you fix that error, it shows you. You can actually successfully save the decks. And it will show up on view decks. You can also remove decks too if you really want to. Um, and yeah, you can remove it. It deletes it and no longer shows on view decks.
Awesome, thanks, Carlie. All right, so now we're going to go to host deck. This will open us into a teacher side page, which displays a code for students to enter and join the game. So I'll open up a new tab. So this left tab will be me as a student or a teacher, sorry, and this right tab will be me as a student. We'll also have other people from this call joining in on the game, so it feels more like a full-fledged game. If you're watching this asynchronously and you're trying to join the game, please know that it should be kicking you out. If Tap.live is still up. The reason for that is to like sure that classrooms with real life students and real life teachers don't encounter strangers just entering their game. So your game should be your game and nobody else's. Cool. Let's get it started. I'll pop this information into mine. And then while we wait for other people to join, oh shoot, that's not what I want. While we wait for other people to join, I'm going to mute this music and then we'll have Maddie tell us a little bit more about how we got this connection to work.
Yeah, so as Emily mentioned before, there will be a 6-digit or letter code that will be displayed at the top there for students to use. And then on the student side, they will be given a randomly generated name, like Proud Cheetah there. To get into the technical a little bit more, all of this is done through WebSockets. So the teacher will be connected to the server, and then each student will also be connected to the server, and then they can communicate to each other that way. So the teacher can communicate to the student and vice versa. So you can see that done on this screen. The student lets the teacher know, hey, I'm joining, and then the teacher can get their student name and display it here. This WebSocket connection is used throughout the whole game. It's used for the routing, so the teacher is in full control of the whole game, and the teacher is the one who decides when to progress to the next step and everything. And then also one more thing to mention is that we do use state management. We use ZooStan, and we use this just to make sure everything is consistent throughout the game. So for example, the student name displayed there will also be displayed on other pages as we go through the game. So that way the student always knows who they are, and we can just have consistent information.
Awesome. Thanks, Madison. Cool. When I click Let's Go, the first thing you'll see is the reading screen on the teacher's side. The reason why we have this is so that everybody hears the question and the answers at the same time. This is different from competitor games where the text is just shown on the screen and then students typically read the information, but then other students who use screen readers might be on a delay. And then for time-based point mechanics, they're at a disadvantage. So whenever I start, everybody will hear the question and answers at the same time. And then on the student side, you'll be able to click, 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 click in order to gain points in the game. We'll tell you a little bit more about that as it shows, but just be aware that that's what you'll see next. Cool. Let's get started.
What is the name of this software product? Top, Touchy. Left, Tappt. Right, Kahoot 2. Bottom, Quizzard.
Awesome. So what you just heard was the question. Now we have a timer. There's 30 seconds. It should show on every student's screen. And then when it says, what is the name of the software product? Here are all of our answers. You should be able to manually click this, or the namesake of the game, tap on the arrow key buttons on your keyboard in order to select your answer. I'll go ahead and select mine. Awesome. So on the student side, you can see
20% bonus.
whether you got the answer correct or incorrect. There's also a sound effect in case you can't physically see this screen. And it reads to you your bonus, which incentivizes correct answers. So whenever you are tapping on your screen, our point mechanic allows you to gain points regardless of whether you get the question correct or incorrect. But there's an incentive to getting the question correct because then you'll get more points in the future. And that's what will allow you to progress on our leaderboard. Alec, I know you made this slide. Do you want to talk a little bit more about it?
Of course. I'm Alec. I work on a lot of the front end for this project. There's 4 bars here. Whenever people answer different answer choices, each bar will appear. Obviously, everyone got the right answer here, so only the red bar is there. And then whichever answer is correct will not be grayed out. The other ones will be grayed out. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. We'll move forward and go to the next question. After that, Sul Ha is going to tell you a little bit more about the presence of sound in this game. So really try to listen for all of the different sound aspects that are in this next round. And here's our leaderboard, by the way. You can see all 3 players are shown. There's actually 4 spots. So if we had a 4th player, they would be shown right here, but it's dynamic so that there's not just a blank spot in our leaderboard. This game can be used for any sized class. Right now we have 3.
Tappt was developed in which UNT course? Top, Technical Writing. Left, Data Structures. Right, Physics 2. Bottom, Software Engineering.
Here's our waiting room slide real quick. And whenever I selected that, it meant that 1 or 2 people were still choosing their answer. Remember, there's 3 students in our game. So that means maybe I had answered, one other person had answered, and we were waiting on one other person. That helps people to know that their answer was selected, but also to not jump to the correct or incorrect screen prematurely so that everybody knows what they got early on, right? Cool. As you can see, we had a little more answer diversity here. Sul Ha, do you want to tell us a little bit about sound now that we've played that round?
Sure. I'm Sul Ha, and I was working on our project key audio component. The one was the background music, like in the Robbie, and then the sound effect and text-to-speech options to improve the both user experience and accessibility. And then so the background music, so to set an engagement atmosphere throughout the game or learning experience. And then sounds effect, the based trigger based on their interactions. So it helps to understanding the you're in a new page, or like it's the like kind of game status change.
Yeah, thanks. If there's more sounds throughout the game, we will tag Sul Ha. Sul Ha also worked on our Google API at the beginning, so she's been really good at working through our plugins throughout the project. Awesome. On to our last question.
Which screen should immediately pop up on the student side once all answers for this question are submitted? Top, correct, incorrect. Left, leaderboard. Right, welcome. Bottom, answer distribution.
Again, here's our waiting room page. Here's our timer page.
+1 points per click.
Awesome. And then I'd only gotten one power up before, so it's kind of hard to differentiate between them. But there is a sound for each power up, so that you can like audibly differentiate between different incentives. Cool. Looks like we got 2 people correct. Another reason for this screen is for teachers to see it when it pops up and then address any, I guess, discrepancies in understanding. So if you just taught a subject and 50% of the class gets an answer wrong, you can see the question on the screen and say, okay, was the question written poorly? Did I not teach it well? Or are students still just struggling to get this topic? And do I need to spend more time on it? Cool. This was the last question of the game, so we should see our final leaderboard. Let's look. Awesome. Alec handled that animation at the end. Sul Ha handled that sound. As a teacher, you can go back to see your decks and start a new game. As a student, everyone's a winner, I kind of say, because not only do you get these quick stats about your final score and your question correctness, you can also see what you missed, and there's a personalized review. Carlie, I know you made this one. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is a centralized place to like show all the questions that you've answered, or really just all the questions of the game, and it shows which questions you got correct, which questions you got incorrect, and it actually shows what you've answered versus the correct answer. So for the correct answer choices up above, it just your answer matches the correct answer versus the incorrect screen below. It shows what you answered incorrectly versus the correct answer. So it's a great way for students to understand what they got correct and incorrect all in one page.
Awesome, thanks. And then one thing additionally that was a component of our answer choice page as well is that if you didn't hear something the first time, you can always re-listen. By pressing the F key, we have text to speech where you can selectively listen to or re-listen to whatever you didn't catch the first time. Let's take a listen.
You got 2 out of 3 correct.
I'll press F again.
Correct answers.
I'll press F one more time.
Question 1. What is the name of this software product? You answered Tappt. Correct answer is Tappt.
Awesome. And then if I didn't want to listen to question 3, I can press F twice just to skip past it. Hold on.
Question 2. Tappt was developed in which UNT course? You answered Physics 2. Correct answer is Software Engineering.
Awesome. Thanks, my sticky keyboard. But yeah, students can selectively listen to whatever they want. They don't have to sit through 19 correct answers in order to hear the one question they got incorrect. They can skip forward and get what they need out of the game, which is why we designed it. Cool. From here, you can join a new game. Madison worked a little bit on this routing to make sure it cleans up really nicely. There shouldn't be any students left over in a new waiting room. So you start with a clean slate. There are free unlimited decks. You can play as much as you want, and hopefully create a really fun learning environment for all of your students. Thank you so much for looking at our demo. Again, we are Group 8, and we hope you enjoyed our product.